Have you ever wondered if the stories you've been told about God and the creation of the universe are true? What if I told you there's an ancient alternative that flips everything upside down? Today, we're diving into the mind-bending world of Gnosticism and exploring the Gnostic Creation Story. Strap in, because this isn't your average Sunday school lesson. Let's take a journey into a tale where everything you think you know about God may just be a lie. Before we dive into the creation story, let's first understand what Gnosticism is. Gnosticism was a spiritual movement that arose around the early centuries, offering a radically different worldview than traditional Christianity. Gnostics believed that salvation comes from special knowledge, gnosis, and that the material world was a prison created by a lower, malevolent entity. According to Gnosticism, this world isn't a place of divine creation, but rather a flawed and corrupted realm that keeps us from knowing our true divine selves. Sounds wild, right? But it's just the beginning. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. In Gnostic cosmology, the being most of us think of as God is actually the demiurge, a lower and imperfect entity. Unlike the benevolent creator found in the Bible, the demiurge is seen as a jealous, ignorant being who created the material world as a prison for human souls. The Gnostics believed that the true, unknowable God existed far beyond this flawed realm, in a higher spiritual dimension. This demiurge, however, wanted to trap humanity in ignorance, keeping us from realizing our divine origins. But humans aren't without hope. According to Gnosticism, while our bodies might be part of the demiurge's creation, our souls contain a divine spark, a piece of the true God. This spark is the key to liberation from the material world. The problem is that most of us are unaware of it, trapped in the illusions of the demiurge's world. However, through knowledge gnosis, we can awaken to the truth of our divine origins and transcend this flawed existence. This concept gives a radically different perspective on the meaning of life and the human experience. One of the central figures in the Gnostic creation myth is Sophia, a divine emanation who plays a pivotal role in the unfolding of the cosmos. According to the story, Sophia sought to understand the unknowable God, but acted independently, leading to the accidental creation of the demiurge. She regretted her actions and attempted to hide her creation, which resulted in the flawed material world. Yet, despite this error, Sophia's divine essence remains within the world, subtly guiding humanity toward enlightenment and reunion with the true God. So, if the world was created by a malevolent force, how do we escape? Gnosticism teaches that salvation comes not through faith or obedience, but through knowledge, specifically, the knowledge of who we really are and where we come from. The Gnostics believed that understanding the true nature of reality would free us from the control of the demiurge and the material world. In essence, the Gnostic path is one of awakening, of realizing that everything we've been told about God and creation might just be a lie, and that the real truth is far more mystical and profound. In Gnosticism, the pleroma represents the fullness or the totality of the divine. It's where the true, unknowable God resides, beyond the material world. The pleroma is an abstract, transcendent realm, often described as a realm of pure light or spirit. It's the source of all divine emanations, including Sophia. For Gnostics, the material world exists outside of the pleroma, which is why it's seen as corrupt and imperfect. Understanding the pleroma is essential for grasping the Gnostic worldview. It's the place of ultimate truth and perfection. In the Gnostic narrative, the fall of humanity isn't about disobedience in a garden, but rather the entrapment of the soul in the material world. When the demiurge created the physical universe, he trapped divine sparks, pieces of the true God within human bodies. This fall represents the soul's separation from its divine origin. For Gnostics, the goal of life isn't to obey a creator, but to escape the prison of the material body and return to the pleroma. This interpretation flips traditional religious stories on their head. One of the most famous Gnostic texts is the Gospel of Thomas. Discovered in 1945 in Egypt, It contains 114 sayings attributed to Jesus, but with a distinctly Gnostic tone. In this gospel, salvation is found through self-discovery and internal knowledge, rather than through external rituals or beliefs. Jesus is portrayed as a teacher who guides individuals toward enlightenment, urging them to seek the truth within themselves. It's a radically different take from the Jesus we see in the New Testament. Although Gnosticism is often seen as a heresy, it played a significant role in the early centuries of Christianity. Many early Christians were influenced by Gnostic ideas, and Gnostic sects existed alongside mainstream Christianity. In fact, some scholars believe that Gnosticism was one of the main competitors to what later became Orthodox Christian belief. The early church fathers wrote extensively against Gnosticism, but its ideas persisted, influencing mysticism and esoteric traditions for centuries to come. Gnosticism challenges the notion of blind faith, which is common in many religious traditions. Instead of relying on faith in a higher power or following religious rules, Gnostics seek direct, experiential knowledge of the divine. This knowledge is personal and transformative. It's not something you can get from a book or a sermon, it comes from within. For Gnostics, true spirituality is about discovering the divine spark inside yourself, not about worshiping an external deity. In Gnostic cosmology, the demiurge isn't working alone. He's assisted by a group of entities known as archons, who help him maintain control over the material world. These archons act as cosmic jailers, keeping humanity trapped in ignorance. They manipulate human thoughts and emotions, creating illusions that keep us from realizing our true nature. According to Gnostics, much of what we experience in the physical world, suffering, chaos, conflict, is a result of the archon's influence. For Gnostics, evil isn't just the absence of good or a temporary state. It's an inherent part of the material world. Since the demiurge created the physical realm, and the demiurge is an imperfect and malevolent being, the world itself is seen as corrupt. This explains why Gnostics were often ascetic. They believed that, by renouncing the material world and its pleasures, they could free themselves from the demiurge's control. Evil, in the Gnostic view, is something to transcend, not just to endure. Many Gnostics believed in reincarnation, but not in the traditional sense of karma or soul evolution. For them, reincarnation was a trap set by the demiurge to keep souls bound to the material world. The soul would keep reincarnating until it gained the knowledge necessary to escape. This made the acquisition of gnosis not just important, it was essential for breaking free from the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. Each lifetime offered the opportunity to achieve enlightenment and escape. Unlike many patriarchal religious systems, Gnosticism holds a significant place for the divine feminine. Sophia, the feminine aspect of divinity, plays a central role in the creation story and in humanity's path to salvation. Sophia's quest for knowledge is what led to the creation of the demiurge, but she also plays a role in guiding souls toward enlightenment. In many Gnostic texts, the feminine aspect of divinity is celebrated as a force of wisdom and compassion. One of the most influential Gnostic sects was the Valentinian school, founded by the teacher Valentinus in the 2nd century AD. Valentinian Gnosticism blended elements of traditional Christian theology with Gnostic cosmology, creating a nuanced and mystical interpretation of the faith. Valentinus taught that the material world wasn't entirely evil, but rather the result of a cosmic error. He also emphasized the importance of love and spiritual union with the divine. The Valentinian school was highly influential in early Christianity before it was labeled heretical. Gnosticism shares much in common with other mystical traditions, such as Sufism, Kabbalah, and Eastern philosophies like Hinduism and Buddhism. All of these systems emphasize the direct experience of the divine and the belief that the material world is an illusion or distraction from the true reality. Gnosticism's focus on inner knowledge and personal transformation resonates with the teachings of mystics across cultures and religions, making it a universal spiritual path. In Gnostic Christianity, Jesus isn't seen as the literal Son of God or a sacrificial Savior. Instead, he's viewed as a divine emissary sent to awaken humanity to its true nature. Jesus brings the knowledge, gnosis, necessary to free souls from the control of the demiurge and the material world. His role is that of a teacher and guide, helping individuals realize their own divinity. The crucifixion in Gnostic texts is often interpreted symbolically rather than as a literal event. The discovery of the Nag Hammadi Library in 1945 was a pivotal moment in the modern understanding of Gnosticism. These ancient texts, hidden in a cave for over 1,600 years, contain many of the most important Gnostic writings, including the Gospel of Thomas, the Apocryphon of John, and the Gospel of Philip. The texts provided scholars and seekers alike with a deeper insight into Gnostic beliefs and practices. They opened the door to renewed interest in Gnosticism in modern spirituality. Gnosticism may have been suppressed by the early Christian church, but its influence can still be felt today. Many modern spiritual movements, including the New Age, draw heavily from Gnostic ideas. The concept of personal enlightenment, the idea that we are all divine beings trapped in a flawed world, and the focus on inner knowledge all resonate with contemporary spiritual seekers. In a way, Gnosticism's message of liberation through knowledge is more relevant today than ever. You may not realize it, but Gnostic themes often appear in modern pop culture. Movies like The Matrix, where the protagonist awakens to the true nature of reality, echo Gnostic ideas about the material world being an illusion. Similarly, books like Philip K. Dick's v. ALIS explore Gnostic concepts of divine revelation and the struggle between a false god and a higher, unknowable reality. Gnosticism's influence on fiction, film, and philosophy continues to grow, proving that its ideas are far from forgotten. At the heart of Gnostic cosmology lies the monad, the true God, an unknowable, infinite source of all existence. Unlike the demiurge, who created the material world, the monad is pure and beyond comprehension. Gnostics believe that the monad is beyond good and evil, beyond human concepts of morality, and certainly beyond the material universe. This God didn't create the world as we know it. Instead, divine emanations like Sophia were responsible for shaping existence. The monad represents the ultimate truth and reality. During the early centuries of Christianity, Gnostic texts flourished. However, as the Orthodox Church solidified its doctrines, it sought to suppress these alternative teachings. Many Gnostic writings were destroyed, labeled heretical, or hidden by their followers. Thanks to discoveries like the Nag Hammadi Library, we have access to many of these ancient texts today. Gnostic writings like the Gospel of Judas and the Gospel of Mary offer radically different interpretations of familiar Christian figures, giving us new insights into early Christian thought. In Gnostic cosmology, the monad generates divine beings known as eons. These eons are spiritual entities that exist within the pleroma, each representing various aspects of the divine. Sophia is one of the eons, and her actions lead to the creation of the material world through the demiurge. The eons act as intermediaries between the unknowable monad and the flawed material realm. Understanding the role of the eons is crucial to grasping Gnostic metaphysics, as they embody divine qualities that influence the cosmos. One of the defining features of Gnosticism is its radical dualism, the belief in two fundamental, opposing forces. On one side is the material world, created by the demiurge and filled with imperfection, suffering, and ignorance. On the other side is the spiritual realm, associated with the monad and the pleroma, representing truth, light, and knowledge. This dualistic worldview is central to Gnostic beliefs, as the material and spiritual realms are in constant conflict, with human souls caught in between. Some branches of Gnosticism were deeply influenced by astrology. Gnostics believed that the stars and planets, ruled by the archons, exerted control over human lives and destinies. Astrology, in this context, was seen as part of the demiurge's trap to keep souls tied to the material world. However, Gnostic practitioners also believed that understanding the influence of the stars could help them navigate the world and eventually escape the archons' control. In a way, astrology became a tool for liberation rather than enslavement. Gnostic art and literature are filled with symbolic imagery that reflects their complex belief system. One common symbol is the snake, which, in contrast to Christian interpretations, is seen as a symbol of wisdom and knowledge. The serpent in the Garden of Eden is often reinterpreted as a liberator, offering humanity the knowledge needed to break free from the demiurge's control. Other Gnostic symbols include the sun and stars, representing the soul's journey toward enlightenment and the ultimate return to the pleroma. While Gnosticism is primarily focused on inner knowledge, some sects practiced rituals meant to guide the soul on its journey toward liberation. These rituals could involve meditation, the study of sacred texts, and symbolic acts of purification. Baptism was also important in some Gnostic communities, but it was seen as a spiritual cleansing rather than a traditional Christian sacrament. The purpose of these practices was always the same: to awaken the soul to its divine origin and help it escape the material realm. Sophia, often regarded as the embodiment of wisdom, holds a pivotal role in Gnostic thought. Her story represents both the fall from and the quest for divine knowledge. Her emanation from the monad and subsequent fall gives rise to the creation of the material universe and the demiurge. However, she also represents redemption. For Gnostics, the path to enlightenment is mirrored in Sophia's own journey, her quest for knowledge, her mistakes, and her ultimate role in helping souls return to the pleroma. In Gnostic teachings, Christ isn't just a savior figure who dies for humanity's sins. Instead, he is often depicted as a revealer, an emissary sent from the higher spiritual realms to bring the gnosis, the knowledge that can save humanity from the demiurge. Jesus' crucifixion is often viewed as symbolic rather than literal, representing the victory of the spiritual realm over the material one. His role is to awaken humanity to the truth of their divine origin, helping them transcend the physical world. Gnostics do not traditionally believe in hell as a place of eternal punishment for sin, as is common in mainstream Christianity. Instead, hellish conditions are experienced within the material world itself. Living trapped in ignorance, unaware of one's divine nature, is considered the real punishment. For Gnostics, the demiurge's world is a prison, and the suffering we experience here is the result of being separated from the divine realm. Hell isn't a destination after death. It's the reality of living in the material world without gnosis. One of the reasons Gnosticism was labeled a heresy was its rejection of many fundamental Christian doctrines. Gnostics rejected the idea that the material world was created by a loving, omnipotent God. They also rejected the concept of original sin, believing instead that ignorance, not sin, was humanity's biggest problem. For them, Jesus was not a sacrifice for sin, but a guide to help people awaken to their divine nature. These ideas put Gnosticism in direct opposition to the developing Orthodox Christian Church. Gnostics often reinterpreted the stories of the Old Testament in a way that portrayed the demiurge as the false god. In their view, figures like Yahweh, the God of the Israelites, were lesser deities or archons who tried to keep humanity in ignorance. Stories like the Garden of Eden were read as allegories, with the serpent offering knowledge that could free Adam and Eve from the demiurge's control. These radical interpretations of Scripture led to deep conflict with early Christian authorities. Though Gnosticism as a formal movement largely disappeared after the rise of Orthodox Christianity, its ideas persisted throughout history, influencing medieval heretical movements such as the Cathars and the Bogomiles. These groups shared Gnostic beliefs about the material world being corrupt and the need for spiritual enlightenment. They rejected the established church, believing it to be aligned with the material realm and its false god. Like the Gnostics, these movements were brutally suppressed, but their ideas endured. Gnosis, or secret knowledge, is at the heart of Gnostic belief. This isn't just intellectual knowledge, but a deep personal revelation of spiritual truths. Gnostics believed that this knowledge was passed down through secret teachings, often hidden from the uninitiated. These teachings could be found in Gnostic texts, but were also believed to be imparted through spiritual experiences and visions. Only those who sought truth beyond the material world could access this knowledge and find salvation. Unlike some religious traditions that emphasize submission to a higher power, Gnosticism places a strong emphasis on personal empowerment. The journey to enlightenment is a personal one, and the knowledge needed for salvation comes from within. This focus on individual awakening and self-discovery resonates with modern ideas of spirituality, where personal growth and inner transformation are seen as keys to a fulfilling life. Gnosticism teaches that you are your own liberator, capable of discovering the divine spark within yourself. Many Gnostic sects practiced asceticism, believing that by denying the desires of the body, they could weaken the demiurge's control over the soul. Fasting, celibacy, and other forms of self-denial were common practices. These disciplines were seen as a way to purify the soul and focus on spiritual matters. However, not all Gnostics were ascetic. Some believed that since the material world was an illusion, how one lived in it was irrelevant to spiritual enlightenment. This diversity of practice highlights the variety within Gnosticism. Gnostic views on ethics and morality are complex. Since the material world was created by the demiurge, Gnostics often saw the laws and moral codes of society as arbitrary or even harmful. True morality, for Gnostics, wasn't about following rules set by the demiurge's world. It was about aligning oneself with the divine and living in accordance with spiritual truths. Welcome to Sophia Science TV, where we take you on an exhilarating journey through the cosmos and unravel the mysteries of science. We are excited to offer you the opportunity to become a valued member of our ever-growing community of cosmic enthusiasts and knowledge seekers. Exclusive access to cosmic content. As a member of Sophia Science TV, you will gain exclusive access to a treasure trove of cosmic content, including documentaries, interviews with leading scientists, space missions updates, and awe-inspiring visualizations of the universe, live Q, and sessions with experts. Your membership will grant you the chance to participate in live Q and sessions with renowned scientists, astronomers, and space explorers. Get your burning questions answered by those who push the boundaries of human knowledge. Embark on a journey that spans the cosmos and join us in unraveling the secrets of the universe. Become a Sophia Science TV member today, and together we will reach for the stars. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, and share. Don't forget to leave your comment.